does this look? All right. Okay. All right. If y'all can hear me, come in to the live. It is Thursday. It is Talk About It Thursday with Black Girl Say Something. And I'm Dr. Appleton. Anywho, while I wait for my guests to come on, while I wait for some people to come on, I'll go ahead and tell y'all what I have going on. So, I'm the owner of Top Notch Eyewear. That's Top Notch Eyewear, topnotcheyes.com. All frames right now are 65% off. While we wait on our guests to come in, I want to just tell you everything that I have going on. So all frames right now are 65% off until May 31st. And then we have the professional development courses in healthcare, which is Healthcare is Politics and Racial Disparities in Healthcare. Those two courses are also 25% off, I believe, until June 8th. I also want to take a moment to talk about how you can find the courses the talks that we've had already. They're over on YouTube. Let's Chat with Indigo and Let's Chat with Dr. Brooks. Those are the Talk About It Thursday. When I post them over to YouTube, it's kind of like Black Girl Say Something, Let's Chat with. So Black Girl Say Something, Let's Chat with. That's what it's called over on YouTube. So take some time to, if you missed the lives from the last 2 weeks, if you've missed the live, you can head over to YouTube and check those out. So as you're coming in, thank you. If you can hear me loud and clear, let me know that you can hear me. But yes, if you missed the previous lives, they're over on YouTube. You definitely want to tap in to that while we wait for our guests. We have a few minutes left to spare, so I'll take some time to tell you. So Black Girl Say Something has a podcast. If you don't know now, you know. Black Girl Say Something, you can check the podcast out every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and get into the fact that we've been really active over on Patreon. So there's some exclusive episodes, some exclusive chats and content. And I like to say over there, that's when this Black girl has even more to say. So when we consider that, let's just say you can either subscribe here on TikTok. I'm going to start for the month of June. I want to get these subscribers up. But for the month of June, you can expect me to do, as long as TikTok is around, I can do more. You can expect to see more subscriber only content, because once you subscribe, you'll have access to what's already been posted. So as you come into the live, just like the screen as we wait for our guest. She has a few minutes to come on. Let me even share this out to her while we wait, because yeah, let's do that. So as she comes on. So yes, I've been going live with the guests every Thursday just to kind of keep the momentum that is TikTok with going live every Thursday. I went live from January, February, and March. So every Thursday I was going live teaching racial disparities in healthcare. If you are interested in those courses, everything can be found at the link in the bio, the Patreon, the YouTube. My son and I even co-authored a journal, which I'm happy to announce that I always tell people in spaces that work with children about his journal, and they always take down the information. And looking forward to, in the new school year, that he will be doing mass distribution of his journal for emotional enrichment, as some schools are calling it. So the journal is called Black Boy Say Something. It is available on Amazon. So while we wait, I just want to get into, I'm not quite sure what we're going to talk about today, because that's kind of the flow of Black Girl Say Something, is me being a Black girl with something to say. And if you are seeing this, I posted a video over on my TikTok feed or whatever. I was like, come on in. We meet here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So get into that. So let me go look at my guest list and see if we have any guests. Welcome in as we wait for our guests to come on in. We'll get into it. Yes. So everything that you concerning Black Girl Say Something that you might be interested in. And also I give 15-minute I wouldn't want to call them discovery calls. They're more like need assessment calls. Having a doctorate means I have solutions. So I have solutions to a number of things. And when you click the link to the assessment call, you'll see there's a variety of questions. People call me to ask me about glasses. The thing about it is this kind of keeps me level-headed in the amount of calls that I can take in a day. or else it becomes overwhelming, especially when you're somebody with solutions. So, in an attempt to talk about it being May is Mental Health Awareness Month, I don't want us to get sidetracked of taking care of our mental health. The reality is, when we take care of our mental health, we take care of our whole well being. What is physical health without mental health, and what is your mental health without your physical health? So, both kind of have to be intact for it to work. And it is a symbiotic relationship, if you will. So, yes, get into it. All right. And as we wait a little bit, all right. So while I wait, I'll tell y'all this. So I've been working, right, at looking for work, and it has been, let's just say, one of those things that has been taking a toll on my mental health. And I posted an episode to the podcast. You definitely want to tune in. There's a number of episodes. I'm always telling people, like, you need to tune in. But the reality is, what I do with Black Girl Say Something, what I've come to see with my growth and my time with Black Girl Say Something, is the fact that I post episodes for me. I listen for me. I post them, and every so often I go back and I listen to the podcast, and I'm like, okay, what did we learn from this? Did we learn from this? Did we grow from this? And what is the next steps? Because the reality is, sometimes we get so caught up in all of the bad things that are happening that we don't tend to see or hold space for the good. Kind of like when you have your fist balled up, it's like, oh, I'm holding on to this grief. I'm holding on to this hurt. I'm holding on to this trauma. But until you can open your hand and release it, then you can kind of like receive good things. So that's kind of what the podcast started out as. They started out as video journals. Now, I've never posted the actual video journals because the video journals are reminiscent of the podcast. Like, the podcast was birthed because of the video journals. So, because of that, I see my guest. So I'm going to give it a little bit. Let me get her up here. So the podcast started, I'm going to finish this statement first. The podcast started as the birth of these video journals. Now, these video journals, they're in the vault. They're on a hard drive. Okay. And I started documenting the healing process because, one, I was a new solo primary parent, as well as I was in this space of like trying to, pick up the pieces. When you newly get into a divorce, it's like picking up the pieces. Boom. Podcast is given. I gave birth to the podcast. And I've been recording ever since July 1st, 2022. So the podcast is coming up to 4 years. So I think I might do a little photo shoot for it. Anywho, our guest is here. I have Coach T. I'm going to bring her on. And while we wait for her to come on, I'm going to be sharing this out. Coach T, welcome, welcome. Let's see. I invited you. Let me turn this up. Hey.
Hey. Can you hear me? Am I echoing?
No, you're not echoing.
Oh, okay. Because I got my mic on and the headphone.
Okay. No, you're not echoing to me.
Okay. I can hear myself. That's what it is.
Okay.
Hey.
I just want to say, I told my sister, I say, when I get on here with Coach T, I'm going to give her flowers because I'm going to tell what's going on me with the job hunt real quick. I've been talking a lot about the job fatigue and all of that good stuff before we get into our topic. Little side. Because this is going to get downloaded, it's going to get posted to YouTube. So if there's anything additional you want me to link in the YouTube description, make sure you DM me that because I'll be posting this to YouTube probably like by next week. But
I'll send you my YouTube page. Actually, you could just
okay, so I could just tag you on YouTube. That's perfect. So I'm looking for work. I'm like, you know what? I've been getting like job hunt fatigue. Like, I got people that's sending me, hey, yes, you made it. I've been getting people sending me like, oh, different jobs. And every time I apply to a job, immediately I gotta go to sleep. Exhausted. Today was the first day. Between today and yesterday, the job that you sent me, those are actual jobs that I'm like, I hope I get them. The job fatigue. So when black women and they black women with each other, it just makes sense. So, with that being said, I have Coach T here. I'm gonna kind of let her get into her introduction. And I thoroughly, if y'all not following her, if y'all are following me, y'all need to follow her. Y'all think this black girl has something to say? Coach T got something to say, honey. And she talking in a whole nother variety of things. We talking intimacy coach. We talking mother wound. We talking, okay? And so be sure to follow her because not only is she going to give you that information, give you that aha moment, you're also going to be like, dang, I need to check in on that. And we're going to correct it and we're going to be better because of it. So, Coach T, welcome. Thank you for coming to sit with this black girl and having something to say. And I just want you to get into everything that you do real quick. This is where, on Black Girl Say Something, this is where we black girl. Okay.
Thank you for the lovely introduction, and thank you for inviting me and for having me. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure y'all tap and like the live. Make sure y'all turn out the live, and thank you just for being here. Y'all could have been anywhere else in the world.
Hello.
Right here with us. Appreciate you. I'm Coach T. I go by the multidimensional doula, and I delight in the dynamism of multidimensionality as we explore all of these different aspects of ourselves. And so the crux of what my practice is on as an intimacy coach, as a sensuality practitioner, is about centering your own pleasure through building that awareness that you mentioned, having that body awareness, having that sensate awareness, which is the body, dealing with the sensory and the sensations that you feel, that emotional awareness, exploring your desires, and being able to actually embody who you are and what it is that you actually want. Mm-hmm. And so, you want me to just get right into it?
Get right into it. Because I sent you a video. So this is how I've been doing it, right? It's like, oh, this is what we going to talk about. And then I send you that video because I'm like, you know what? Dr. Brooke, who's a therapist, she's a professional clinical therapist. And she was on live yesterday. Hey, therapies. She was on live yesterday. And she was talking about sensual awareness and getting through, you know, the barriers to be able to be intimate, even if you are being intimate with yourself, because there's so much shame and all of that. So I was like, that lady asked the video and was like, do y'all know what y'all lady parts look like if I just held up a picture? Baby, I be holding the mirror down there, so I got to see what's going on.
You identify this labia and a labia.
I know what mine look like. Do you know what yours look
like? It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your labia is?
Do you know where your labia is?
Yes, so my practice is very self-centered. If you come on my page, it's going to be all about what it is that you want, who you are, what your desires are, because your primary, most important relationship that you have is with yourself.
Is with yourself.
You have to build your relationship with yourself. You have to build your intimacy with yourself. You have to explore yourself and figure out who you really are, who your authentic self is. In my content and on my page, I talk a lot about being in alignment versus being on the algorithm. Women get stuck on the algorithm of womanhood, of being a woman, being a mother, being a this, being a that, versus being aligned with who they really are. An algorithm is just going to give you some predetermined steps. Okay, you do this. First comes love, then comes marriage.
We've been speaking that stuff over our life like crazy because let me tell you, when you said that and I just told somebody, I feel like I fell in love with homemaking since I've been 4 years now in the middle of a divorce. I love making the home. I love getting up in the morning and making up my bed. I love looking, setting up my dresser with all my perfumes. I love putting on me a little makeup, a little outfit, and cutting up some fruit in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I love it now. Yes. And I was like, before, I used to feel so drained of the task because it's like, this is what a wife's supposed to do. And I don't know about you, but I did grow up hearing, if you don't learn how to cook, how the man gonna eat it? You don't know, if you don't learn how to cook, how you gonna take care of yourself?
How you gonna eat, boo?
Because now I'm meeting the Dusty, and it's like, oh, I like to ask them, do they know how to cook? And you talking about cooking like it's reading a book. What are we talking about?
They don't know.
You talking about cooking like, oh yeah, I don't really do that. So do you eat?
So
who feeds you? Because it can't be me.
So what's your A1C look like? What you be eating every day, McDonald's?
Wow. That McDonald's looking like, oh. Yeah, I had to get up off the algorithm. I had to get up off the algorithm. And the reality is, I'm in this space where I pat myself on the back. I big me up because I'm doing great things, because I am a great person, because I am, right? Somebody in the comments say, no, they expect women to do it right. And so I have a playlist on my page called Raising My Son. Now, what's funny, my daughter said, well, I noticed that you have a playlist called Raising Your Son or something like that. She said, what about the playlist for me? It's only a couple videos in there. I said, girl, because I'm telling them you got a soft life. That young man got to put in work. He's 10 years old. He got to get up. He got to cook his breakfast. You're not responsible for him. He got to be held accountable. He got to do the things. He got to be out there with me cleaning the yard while you sleeping in on a Saturday.
Come on. Put them away. Come on. What they say, idle hands are the devil's playground.
Hello. I've been doing mom hacks, and it happened in such the funniest way on this little app over here, because I was like, quick mom hack. This young man, if y'all kids getting on y'all nerves when they get home from school, get them something to do. Put that Tybo on, especially them little boys. Put on that Tybo. Get that energy moving. Get them endorphins moving. Get them hormones moving.
Girl, you have to put them on a program and you have to give them a structure. But that is the value in being a mother and mothering.
Yeah.
And the problem with the way that a mother or motherhood or mothering has been packaged and sold to us as women is that it is the ultimate corruption of the nature and the essence of the feminine, of
Yeah.
what it is to be the society we live in currently robs women of the true nature and essence of what it is to be a mother, of what it is to have a mother-daughter relationship,
Yeah.
is to have a sister-to-sister relationship.
Yeah.
So that is why the mother wound is so important, because your mother is the first woman who teaches you how to be in a relationship with a woman.
Yeah.
A lot of women who struggle in relationships with women struggle in their relationship with their mother because their mother never taught them this is how women, this is how we
Yeah.
thank you. This is how we conduct ourselves. This is how we relate to one another. This is how we resolve our conflicts. This is how we love each other. This is how we support each other. This is how we give each other grace and space to grow
Yeah.
and understand and nurture each other. So that mother wound is deep. And I feel like in the black community, I can only speak to the black American community because that's like my family. But I see women across the board talking about it, even white women. Like women everywhere are talking about this issue that we have as women in our relationship with ourselves, with nurturing ourselves, but also in our relationships with other women, in our friendships, being estranged from a sister, like a sibling, or your daughter. Gen X is all over the internet crying that they
Because their kids don't want nothing to do with them.
you didn't teach them how to have a relationship with you. A relationship is about how two people decide they want to relate to one another. And if the only
My mother taught us in our late 20s. My mom and my sisters are close. Are you close with them too? I want to know if you're close with them too, because yeah, and there's so much research around it, right? Because when we're talking about the mother wound, they don't want to see it as, because moms are supposed to be these nurturers and these healers, but they don't want to also identify with the fact, oh, she said they're all close. They don't want to identify with the fact that the mom is the first one to actually break the heart. So sometimes, when you have the absent parent, it's usually going to be the father. Let's call it, it's usually the father in the black community. I don't know about no other community, but it's usually the father that would be absent when you're talking about a single mother. And so, yeah, there's that wound from the father, but he's absent. But then they don't talk about enough about the wound of the parent that stayed, the wound that's caused by the parent that stayed. And I always, I've heard this before, and it wasn't until I felt it. It was like the tree remembers, but the axe forgets. The axe cut down the tree. The tree remembers, but the axe forgets because it's cutting tree after tree after tree.
right.
So yeah, the mother is the first one, and I classify relationships as all ships, because people tend when we talk about relationships, they want to talk about intimate relationships, but no, every interaction is a relationship. It is a form of a ship.
Yep. It is a form of how we relate to one another, how we deeply connect with each other. And our relationship with our mother is so unique and so intimate. Like, I just think about, because I have two children, I didn't even give my rundown about
We just got right into it. We just got right into
But
it.
that's how we connected because we have two kids kind of around the same age. Both of our daughters are the same age, but your son is a little bit older than my son. My son will be
Okay.
16.
Oh, so you got the 15-year-old, and aren't they so great?
I love them.
Like 15, I look at my 15-year-old and I'm like, dog, you so raw. And then she was like, Mom, because that's because you raw. And I'm like, girl, because you T. And so, yeah, it's like an oldest daughter raising an oldest daughter. I don't know if you're an oldest daughter, but I'm an oldest daughter raising an oldest daughter. And I'm like, girl, you just don't know the roadblock that I stumbled upon when I was like, this oldest daughter, train stop right here. You the oldest daughter, but not in the typical oldest daughter way. It stops right here with you.
My family is mixed, so my dad have a family and my mom have a family.
Okay.
On my dad's side, I'm the second oldest on my mom's side.
Okay.
But I always say that I'm the oldest um because my older sister is so childish. Like, she don't have any kids because she's the older sister. But like
I'm still on that.
so I'm like, oh god, but yes, having a 15-year-old daughter and learning and really, she's actually the one, and I will credit her with helping me to grow as a woman, as a person. I wanted to be a better person. I didn't want to show her just how to be a better woman.
I wanted to show how to be a better person.
How do you be a person? How do you show up in the world as your best self? How do you love you? And what does that look like when you are this person who shows up in the world, who is confident, who is self-assured, who knows how to deal with disappointment, who knows how to deal with hurt and rejection and abandonment, because those are all normal
developmental milestones.
Like you're gonna deal with feeling disappointed. You're gonna have a falling out with a friend. You're gonna deal with all of these different issues that you
I
have.
love in the chat. They bigging up their daughter. She say my oldest is 20 now, and she is cool. I absolutely love her. Yeah, we bigging up our daughters around here.
Shout out to my baby girl. She in the back. She won't do it. She's not
Shout out to my baby. She not too far. She just walked in here.
always on mommy duty. Period.
Always. She's
Always
just
on my mommy.
Look at her. She waving. I'm in the live.
Yeah, so this mother wound conversation is definitely something that we have to continue to talk about, especially in our community, in the Black communities, because as women we are suffering, and we're suffering due to like those generational traumas too, like those things and those belief systems, those attitudes, those behaviors that we keep carrying on. And then the secret part is, or the funny part is, that really helps me make that shift. And I made a video about this, about filling that gap between, okay, I know better and now I'm going to do better.
Right.
Me realizing and understanding how much of my mother was in me. I copied the same stuff that she did. How much I just out of instinct was doing the things she had taught me to do, the things that I was shown by her. But as a mother, you have to, when you talk about breaking generational curses, you have to be intentional about filling that gap between, okay, I recognize this thing is a problem. I really want to work on it. Okay, now you have to do the better now. Okay, you know better, now you have to do it.
Yeah. Oh. And the thing about knowing better and doing better is you actually do worse before you know better.
Right.
Mistakes, they're like, mistakes were made. Yeah, the mistakes kind of got to be made to get to the point of knowing better, to do better. Because in order to know better, you kind of gotta f it up a little bit.
You got to Thank you, Monique. Thank you. Yes, we have to keep continuing to, like I said, have these conversations, and it goes so deep because as a person, right? You grew in your mother, but you also grew in your grandmother. Women are born with the number of eggs that we're going to have forever.
Yeah.
You grew in the womb with your grandmother. So if you are a millennial, I'm a millennial, you were inside of your grandmother during the civil rights era. Mm-hmm. And your grandmother lived inside of your great grandmother or your great great grandmother, who might have been a slave on a plantation. Yeah. So all of those things and all of those traumas kind of built up, not just in your DNA and your biology, but in the energy and just in the the emotions
Yeah.
the women in your family. And like I said, we really just be doing stuff unconsciously. Do I think that my own mother wanted to be the same way her mother was to her? No. But she
And the mother wound for my
make a
mom
choice.
runs as deep as my mom wasn't even raised by her mom. She was raised by her dad's sister.
Right.
So she was raised by her aunt. So she wasn't even raised by her mom. And that's another story for another day because I rekindled their relationship probably about 4 years ago. Even so much so that I sent my mom for her birthday on a cruise with her mom and her siblings because she was raised like an only child because she was raised with the aunt. And we're from the Virgin Islands. I'm born in the United States, but her background is from the Virgin Islands. And the thing about the thing was her mom didn't necessarily give her up, but there's this island notion. The people in the Virgin Islands highly believe that okay, you're in America, you're okay.
Right.
So now my mom is in this space where I told her, I said, you're getting to know your mom. Just talk to her and tell her what you experienced as a child because the reality is they didn't know that you had a kid at 16. My mom had me at 16. So it was like, okay, well, she had her kid at 16. She had another kid at 18. And by the time she kind of met her mom, she was getting married and getting ready to have my younger sibling. So it was like, oh, well, she seems to be doing well. But it's like, I had to call them one day. I was like, I can't be the family manager anymore. She ain't doing good. She need her mom.
She's struggling. Tap in.
Somebody tap in, tap me out, because I'm tired. I'm just a baby in this thing. I want my mama, and she need her. So come get her.
Come on. And you know what? That's so powerful because sometimes you do just need your mother, especially as when you make the transition from, okay, I'm a woman to now, like, I'm a mother. There's a whole process to that. They call it matrescence, but it's basically readjusting to my new identity. I'm a mother now. And as a mother, you need a big dog. You need an OG.
Yeah.
You need somebody there, holding your hand, holding you up, showing you the ropes. That's when they be talking about why my grandbaby ain't got no undershirt on. Go put an undershirt on my grandbaby.
No, she said my mom broke that generational curse. She said yes, my mother, her mother, and so on and so forth had terrible relations with their mother. So Vina V said, you need your parents. No, like seriously, I'm about to be 38 years old. Sometimes I be like, dang, where my mom at?
So
And I talk to her that my kids going to their grandma on Sunday because ain't no school Monday. But sometimes I need my mom. I need her for me. I don't need her to be grandma. I need her to be my mom. Okay. She's a good grandma. That's T. They love her down. She be grandma. And every now and then you said something. My daughter taught me to be a better person. And the reality is when my children start asking me things about these relationships, I'm a better person within myself where I can explain to them, hey, this is what happened. I be having to tell them, don't nail grandma to the cross now. Grandma ain't no better. But look at how she treats y'all. Look at how she's good with y'all. And she respects y'all boundaries. Even if she got to call me, she's like, hey, is this okay? Because they said they want to do this. You know what? I could appreciate you calling and checking on me like that because the grandma before her wasn't doing that. Oh, they here with me. They gonna this is my house. They gonna do what they want to do. That's how she is with us.
this grandma, I'm gonna do that. But the reality is that motherhood and mothering is a lifelong investment. You never stop being a mother. You actually get promoted to a grandmother. You get to be a grandiose form of a mother.
Yeah.
You get to mother into perpetuity. And then if you got some lineage like me, then you get to sit on the altar and I'm gonna bother you in the spirit realm too. Like, can you?
It never stops. No, and that's the thing. I know people who are my age who have amazing relations with their mom, and I've had being a better person is this: not letting your mother wound affect what conversation you
on other people.
Because let me tell you something. I got one friend, her mama like this, and she called me. She go to telling me about her mom. I said, oh, not today, not today. I say, you did you talk to her about that? Because I know she had that relation with her mom. She said, you know what, you right. And she gonna call her mama. Then she could come back and report to me how it went with her mama. But I don't want to hear it when y'all beefing. I don't.
Like, girl, go and talk to your mother.
Girl, if you don't go talk to your mama.
Go talk to your mother because she actually care what you have to say.
But she actually care what you have to say. She actually will listen to you. Y'all gonna argue it out, and then they have such a good. I have a few friends that's like that. They have really good conflict resolution when it comes to their mama.
Right, and that's something that has to be taught. And I feel like, well, from my experience and my understanding, just having a mother who was overwhelmed. I remember you shared a bit about your mother's story in the live last week. I believe it was last week or the week before that. But my mother was kind of the same type of story. She had her first child at 19, then she had me 4 years later, then she had another child 4 years later. By the time my mom was 30, she had 3 kids and 3 baby daddies.
Oh, my mama too, girl.
Yeah, my mom was struggling in the trenches, and then she got
My mom was
married.
31, 3 kids, 3 baby daddies.
Yep, she got married and had 2 more kids, so she
Oh,
got 5 kids with
oh,
4 baby daddies.
okay.
So she was struggling. So a lot of the part of what I teach my daughter about having relationships and about being vulnerable in relationships and being willing to experience the highs and the lows and being willing to enjoy people for who they are and as multidimensional people who come into your life with all of these different aspects and experiences and things going on. I always remind my daughter, and I always will tell her when I'm teaching her something, I'll say, you know who taught me how to do this? Your grandmother.
Mm.
Because as much as I can complain about her, I can give her her flowers. I can give her her tens. I can be like, oh, you did that. You did. My mother did teach me how to do this. So you can still appreciate who your mother was in your life, the good that she did and the bad that she did. Because even in her mistakes and even in the pain, you can still come out on the other side. You
Yeah.
can still get something good. Like you can still glean something good from all of that.
Mm, I love that. Mother Wound, y'all. Y'all liking the live? Y'all tap up the live now.
Y'all tapping the screen, y'all. So tap, 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 tap.
Tap it up.
I like.
But yeah, in that too, I want to say, so teaching my daughter, one of the things that I always teach her is that your friendships, your ships with people, when you interact with people, they should feel safe. Being able to have her listen to that little voice inside of her, oh, this doesn't feel right, listen to that. Because I think as a young girl, for me, as a young girl, there wasn't, you've been talking a lot lately about the approval from your mother.
Yes.
And I said, you know what? I was the child that never really gleaned to the approval of my mom because my mom she didn't really know how to accept that I was different from her.
Mm-hmm.
So
Your older daughter, my older sister is like that.
yeah, she didn't know how to accept that I was different from her. So even now, and still, it comes in small little ways. But even with my hair being like this, she's like, "That's how you wear your hair?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's wrong with it?" Not now. This ain't happened this year, but like we're gonna say about last year when she kind of got used to me being like, I'm like a lazy natural, y'all. I be cute now, but I'm a lazy natural. But I'll slap on a wig too. Press on a wig. I do it all. But she will be like, you gonna wear your hair like that? Oh, I wish I could wear my hair like you. So I noticed that over time, and also too, she had me as a teenager. How much mothering did I really expect? Putting time in perspective. I remember my mom being 32 years. I was 16. My mom was 32. Like I remember thinking like, dang, I'm half her age.
A hot, a young
She already had 3 kids. So I was like, yeah, for me to be 37, finish these degrees, in the middle of a divorce, but my mom always is bigging me up. Like I think one of the very first times she told me congratulations, or she was so proud of me was when I graduated my master's. And that was in 2018. And I was like, really? And she like, yeah, I've always been proud of you. And she said something to the effect of like, I've always been proud of you. I just didn't know if you was going to accept it or something like that.
Yeah, if you even
Like, my mom had 3 kids by 19. Woo. Well, our mamas was doing anything, wasn't they?
Yeah.
Look, I be trying not to judge the mamas, but our mamas really was doing anything, y'all.
Like, where was your mama at when you was doing all of this? Cause what is going on?
No, our mamas really was doing everything. And you talk about being the oldest, but also the second oldest. I have a younger sister. Oh, she had you at 13. Wow.
Wow.
That's wow. You talk about being the second oldest, but also the first oldest. I have a sister. She's the second oldest for our dad, but she's her mom's first oldest. So I call it like a half older sister hybrid or something. Like I got a doctorate in health science. I can make up words if I want to. Not everybody in here on the live with me. Anywho, so she like an older sister hybrid like you. But she be trying to older sister me, and it does feel good because being the oldest sister, it's like, who do I have to really look up to? You know? we how, yeah, no, but I'm saying I do be looking up to you because we're like 7 years apart. So it's like, yeah, she's doing her own thing. She don't have any kids, and she la 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 living her life. And I'm like, you know what? I like that for you. And me, I got my two in tow because wherever I go, they gonna go.
That's me. That's me. And so I'm definitely looking forward to my next phase of life of not being child free, but being childlike.
Yeah.
Like, it's a light tax, not every day.
That's how I started learning how to do my makeup because I saw my daughter. She would just sit in front of the mirror for hours, just doing her makeup, doing her nails, doing her toes. And I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to do my makeup because I was reading a book. Oh, I don't remember the book we was reading a couple years ago, and it was talking about just doing things for play. Like adults lose their ability to just sit and play. So I started doing Legos. I started like just really going to the park and like I take my kids now. I don't want to be like the weirdo at the park on the playground, but I'm at the playground because my son is still the smaller one, so I can play tag and run with him. But sitting down and playing with the Legos, sitting down and just practicing my makeup and realizing you don't got to practice this thing when you're getting ready to go to the event, but practice it just in the daytime. The like home, the kids are at school. Yeah, how to parent your inner child. Yeah, so
Parenting.
reparenting that inner child and really, holding space to just play without purpose. That's exactly what the book said. Playing without purpose. Because as adults, it's like everything is for purpose. Oh, I gotta file these papers. Oh, I gotta do this. Oh, I gotta. No, let's take a minute. Let's take a beat. And I'm not. Sometimes even these devices, you mindlessly scrolling. It's like, no, let me take a minute and just draw. Let me do some art. Let me. I'm very artsy. I love the arts. I just made the dresses. I made a dress. So, how important is representation in the park?
In the work that I do, is that what you
The
mean?
work. Oh, it's not in the work that you do.
In the work that I do, as far as what do you mean, like black women specifically, or what's the term they're using, BIPOC or queer, gender fluid?
In healthcare overall.
Overall, how important is the representation in the work that I do in healthcare? How is representation important?
I think it's more awareness.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think
I have to say it's more awareness. It's not representation because the Black woman experience is one that when we're talking, women's rights. If we're gonna talk healthcare real quick, sidebar. When we're talking women's rights and things being taken away, but then you have like us as mothers, two daughters, we're having to really hold space for our daughters to be their authentic selves. But having a daughter and a son is so funny because we also have to teach them how to survive outside of us, right? Like no other race or ethnic group has to sit down with their son and explain to their son that the world not gonna see you like how I see you.
right.
And that reality hit me because I raised my youngest brother. We're 14 years apart. I raised him, and it didn't hit me till his 16th birthday. He's he's 24 now, but it hit me his 16th birthday. Him and all of his homeboys that I used to remember when they were like 9 and 10 years old, and I would host their little sleepovers for his birthday parties. And now these are young men, and as gentle giants as they are, because they 16, they was already big, tall, towering over me. And I said, dang, I looked at them and I posted this picture on Facebook. It was a picture of them when they probably were like 10 years old and a split picture of them at 16. And I said, the reality is, this is who I still see. But when the world looks at them, there's a conversation that has to be had. And I remember telling my mom, I kind of picked up the mantle in that way as he was going through high school, matriculating through high school. And I had to have the conversation with him about being an 18-year-old young man and being mindful in high school because he did get held back a year. So being mindful in high school, and he went to a very diverse high school. So it was like, be careful. You're turning 18. Be careful of not being some young ladies that's 17.
Mm-hmm.
Even you 17, about to be 18. Be careful not being intertwined with them ladies that's 16 and 17. And my mom was like, I never thought about that. And I was like, yeah, this is the reality, right? Because even though you might have missed those marks with me and my brother, here I am being able to help you pick up those marks. And so I'm prepared because I was pre-prepared then I'm prepared now to have those conversations with my son. This is my latest read that I'm reading right here, y'all. Like I really be reading this.
Growing up, a guide to
Puberty, adolescents, teenagers, and parents. This was a book that was published in 2024. Now, mind you, I got it from the library. And I'm trying to see how I can buy it on Amazon because Lord
use
knows.
our local libraries too.
Use your use your library. It
Like,
is essential to everything. Use your libraries. I ain't even playing with y'all. Get in them libraries this summer. Get a library card. Take them kids to the library. I'm hosting an art exhibit at the library. I don't even know how. My son done told this lady I do art. Now I'm hosting an art exhibit in the summer.
you said my mama do art.
Yeah, the lady was like, "Oh yeah, because this summer, because she does STEAM. So STEAM is science, science, technology. What did all that? Engineering and math, and art is in there too. So she was saying that this year, because it's a literacy program, so this year she's using art to influence literacy. So she was telling him about the museum that's going to come and what they're going to do. The whole time, this boy done told this lady, she was like, "Yeah, I wanted to talk to you. I thought he did something bad in the program." She was like, "No, I just wanted to talk to you because he was letting me know that you do art and we need a third person." I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do it. Look, I'll do it. I'm in between. I told her, I said, I'm in between contracts and business deals anyway. I'll be that girl."
But that's the kind of stuff that you need to heal your spirit. But for me personally, so two things. I'm gonna go to the representation question, but I'm gonna speak first to because I do have a son. For me, it's kind of like a different point of view in terms of that. Like I know that one day our relationship is gonna change, and I have to be ready to make that change. It was even something as simple as because I had my daughter first, right? And I'm not saying that girls need more nurturing than boys, but my daughter was so much more loving and clingy
Mm-hmm.
at her. Both my kids are breastfed, but my daughter was so much more like she wanted me hands on, and like I just did so much for her. And it's just being a mother.
Well,
It's
how
like
many years apart are they?
they're 8 years and 8 days apart.
Oh, okay, I got the 4 years and 6 months apart. So my daughter breastfed for 3.5 years, and that young man, he breastfed for about 4.5 years.
My daughter did too. My son was over it at 6 months. He wanted to. He was wanting.
He was like, "Get me up out of here."
Like I'm not about to be sitting on the lap. I got things to do. So, so with my son, for me, it was being conscious and aware not to handicap him and letting him do things that he can do for himself. I realized that, like, at one point, I think it was the last school year, I'm like, why am I putting your clothes on you in the morning? You can do this. Just, like little things like that and being aware of like building up not just his skills, but like building up his confidence because kids gain their confidence by doing things for themselves. If you always
For themselves, yeah.
then they don't have the opportunity to do it for themselves or to figure out for themselves. So for me, it's been more about that of like the awareness of making sure that my son just is a good person. Like I said, like just be a good human,
Yeah.
just be a good human being. Like don't worry about putting on the costume of masculinity or the costume of fatherhood or the costume of being a husband. Worry about having a good heart and doing good in the world. That's what I want your focus to be. And you have to
Building up
start.
that empathy. Really building up that empathy for me is letting my son see me as just a woman. I'm your mom. I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you. But I'm also here to give you the tools. And that's kind of what we've been working on. He's in therapy. So this last go round of therapy, I say it's the last go round because he has been real focused on graduating from therapy since his sister graduated. So he's in this space where he's learning to become his own individual. That he's individual from his sister, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because last year what I did was for their birthdays, I celebrated their birthdays separately. So like she went to the Nicki Minaj concert in March, and then he went to New Orleans with just me in August. That's what he wanted to do for his birthday. This past weekend, she was in a 23-hour lifeguard training course, and it was just me and him. And he really, I mean, when I say he really missed his sister, like to the point where he was just like, "What time she coming home? When she?" And I say, "You gotta get used to. Sometimes you're not gonna be with her. Sometimes she's not gonna be around. She growing up. You were individual." So I'm like, and he's on restricted screen time. So I told him, I said, "You also have to recognize when you don't have that screen time, you have a whole room full of things to do. Pick one.
Right.
Pick one.
You have
But
to become self-reliant. You have to develop that internal locus of control. You have to learn how to regulate, self-regulate your own emotions. But you also, the other thing that my son is learning is how to hold space for women and for the feminine. When me and my
yeah,
daughter are having a conversation and you want to join, sometimes the conversation isn't for you. Sometimes we're just talking about what girls do, or sometimes we're just talking mother to daughter. But
hmm
your turn to be in the conversation. This is how we share with one another. This is how we, we have community with each other. This is how we have relationships with each other. So, like, yeah, really learning the soft skills. I'll
the
say
soft
that.
skill and
I
being
feel
part
like
of a
boys it's a
team.
lot of teaching soft skills and hard skills. With girls, it's more like the hard skills. Like, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. With boys, it's like you got to do both.
You got to do both. Yeah, you're a part of the team. This is your day to do the dishes. This is your day to do the bathroom. This is your day to do this, clean up that room, this, that, and the third, and
But
really getting them to be so like. If I'm being honest with you, I would prefer my son be hyper independent than my daughter.
me too.
I would prefer him to be hyper independent. You know, hyper independence in women is like, that means there's some wounds there. I need him to be so hyper, and in a lot of ways he is. I got it. He was getting ready for his award ceremony. He putting on that. I got it, because I had already, he buttoning that shirt. He saw it was in button right. I ain't say nothing. He fixed it. So that activating that critical thinking, because I did work as a professor with those, they just coming out of high school. They, oh, my alarm ain't go off. They got all every excuse in the book. And it's like, come on, dude. You here at school, not me. I got this already. So he got that alarm. He got to get up. They also have to be self motivate. That intrinsic motivation. It's like, if nobody don't tell you to do it. And again, I've seen this in my brothers too. So I'm very much on my son about, hey, these are the things you got to do, and really coming at him in a space of love and peace. Because again, don't nothing really flourish in chaos. But it's like, hey, getting you to think, asking those motivating questions. Well, do you think that was like, why didn't you do that? Okay, well, you have a list of things. Did you check the list? Go back and revisit that. So now you're creating that own. I want him to be so structured that he like, oh yeah, I got it now.
I'm regimented.
And
I
he
don't need
close, and he close.
to call my mother. I know what I'm supposed to do. I don't need to
Yeah,
call her.
because at some point they got to stop hearing your voice. I don't want you hearing my voice ever. Oh, because my mom used to be nagging me. Mm-mm. You gonna nag yourself. You got to get it done.
Get her done. But the question about representation. So I think that for Black women, I want us to move away from the need to be represented. Move away from the need to always have to see yourself in the space, and you be the person being seen in the space. A lot of times we wait for others people's permission to do something, to explore something, to go to a place, because we just can't see or can't fathom a reality where we're there. We have to get past that need to, like, oh, we need this person, we need that person, because the reality is that healthcare is a deeply our word system. So a lot of times the doctors who look like you are another cog in the wheel. They're another part of the system. Another,
Listen, biases.
they have their own biases. They have their own things that they have to work through. So I really want Black women to get more to a point of representing yourself. Who do you want to be? How do you want to be seen in the world? How do you want to show up? What do you desire? What spaces do you want to be in? What are your goals? More intrinsically motivated, more autonomous, more sovereign, more, this is about me. I want Black women too. I don't need to be represented by anybody else. I represent myself. I represent.
I show up in the place and I let my light shine. I
Period.
just had a conversation with a colleague about that. We both have our doctorate, and she was like, when she got into this space, and she's been doing what I've been kind of doing longer than me, and she just called me one day just to kind of encourage me. And she was like, she met me in like 2018, 2019, and she was like, I told somebody when I met that bee, I know she gonna be a millionaire. And I say, girl, from your mouth to God's ears, because at the end of the day, I show up and I can't be humble, because there's a lot of people that expect me to show up to be humble. They already expect me to show up,
A lot
and
of
he
people
already is trying to humble you when you show up too.
But it's a lot of people expecting you to show up and shine. That's really what did it for me. Looking back to our conversation about being a mother and about the mother wound, and a lot of my mother wound, and like a lot of what we say as women or as black women, like you said, with black girls say something, we feel silenced and we feel small and we feel shrunken. And it's not because we have low self esteem. I thought I had a low self worth issue. I don't have a low self worth issue. I think I'm the shit. That's what my problem is. It's that I want to shine. And it wasn't that I didn't feel like I deserved to shine. It was that the adults around me couldn't make enough space for me to shine. So I dim my light because they didn't make enough space for me. All of their stuff was taking up the space. All of their mother wounds, all of their traumas, all of their poverty, all of their lack and scarcity was dimming my light.
Right, you was
A lot of times
free
we got to get to the place where we remember who we are.
Yeah.
You just remembering who you are because you know you a star. You know you were born to shine. Like I commented on your video, ethereal. Like you know you that girl. If you ever see a little out when you want to remind yourself who you are, if you ever see a little black girl about 3 or 4 years old, that's who you are.
Oh, funny you say that because all around my room is little pictures.
Her little purse.
That's who I am. Look, and it's funny because I have little pictures. There's a little picture in my bathroom by my mirror. And my daughter was like, why do you have these little pictures? Well, in my kids, both of their rooms, for the first 10 years of their life, I created like this collage board. And I want them to just remember it goes through because it was funny because my daughter was born 2010. So 2020 would have made her 10. And so it goes through like their first 10 years that they have this board. For me, there's a little picture of me. Like you said, that little girl at 3 years old, that's me. There's a little picture of me. The shirt say, who's the boss? I'm the boss. I'm the boss. And it's just a reminder to be gentle with myself, to give myself more grace, right? Because a lot of times as women, as black women, we give everybody else the grace. I said that last week. We give everybody else the grace. Giving ourselves the grace help, in the spirit of mental health awareness month, we want to give ourselves that grace. We want to be gentle with ourselves. Would you look at that little baby and be so mean and nasty to her? No. I see that little baby, I'm like, oh, she's so cute. That's
my Shayla.
My Shayla. That's my baby boo, and it's me.
That's me. Oh my God, that's me. Yes. Give yourself grace and space to grow. That's really what it is. And a lot of times, because of that mother wound, I recognize in myself, like I said, replaying or reenacting how my mother acted, hypercritical. Everything you do, I have a problem with. Well, why are you doing it that way? Well, why are you doing that? Well, why are you doing this? Well, why are you doing that? You gonna wear your hair like that? You gonna wear this? You gonna wear that? I don't like that. I don't know. The hypercriticism is what creates that voice in your mind because you believe your mother about you. She's your mother. Why wouldn't you believe her?
No,
so she's giving all of the criticisms. It's hard not to internalize it, and that's why we have to excoriate centering your mother because your mother doesn't know what's best for you. You know what's best for you.
And I've said this one time ago on the podcast. The best part, the parenting requires disassociating. You have to disassociate yourself from who you think your children is going, who you think your child should be.
Right.
You have to. I know even in some cases early on in me and my mom's bettering of our relationship, I remember she asked me something. She was like, something was going on with my daughter. And she said, well, what you think about that? And I was like, I don't.
Somebody asked me the same thing about
it was something.
They was like, well, what do you think about kids who I was like, I don't.
I
literally don't. I don't.
My experience. Or even one place I was working and they didn't know I had children. And I was like, oh, yeah, at the time she probably was 13. I was like, yeah, I got a 13-year-old and maybe my son was like 9 or something like that. No, they was like, oh, you got a teenager? Oh, teenage daughter's going to be. So I said, not mine.
Not mine. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't speak that.
Oh, well, I need some pointers from you. I said, you got to do what you got to do for your child because what work in my house might not work in yours. Not mine. Y'all ain't going to speak that over me and my daughter relationship.
You have to be, as a mother, responsive to what your child's needs are. And a lot of Black mothers can be very controlling. And I recognize that, right? Because being a mother is a very interesting and unique power dynamic between a mother and a child, especially a mother and an adolescent child, a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
That power dynamic is very, it's very sensitive. And you have to, it's very easy as a mother of a teenage, especially daughter, to take the upper hand.
To
Like
get offended too.
to be the HBIC, to be like, oh, it's a challenge, you know?
Yeah.
And so you really have to like reel that in. And a lot of mothers can become controlling as, you know, like a defense mechanism. A lot of mothers can be controlling out of fear. They don't want their kids being hurt. A lot of mothers can be controlling just because, you know, scarcity mindset. They've never been in control of nothing their whole life. The only thing they can control is these
It's
kids.
these
They ain't
kids.
got nothing else to control. So it's very easy to want to try to exert your will over a whole nother person. And it's just like, that's not going to work. You have to be responsive to what your child's needs are. I tell my kids all the time, they'll ask me like my opinion about something because both my kids are very artsy. So they'll just be like, "Oh, mommy, what do you like this?" You like the first thing I ask them is like, "Do you like it?"
Do you like it?
That's the first thing. You like it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like it. I say, well, then it's good. I say this. I'll be like, oh, I like the color. You know, I'll tell them I like the color. But don't make me the authority in your life. Do not make me as your mother the authority in your life. If you like it, cool. I also don't believe the worst about my children. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
believe these terrible things about their kids. I don't believe that who my children are at their core are terrible people. I believe that they are the best parts of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I treat them that way. Like you said,
Yes.
people say teenage girls this, teenage girls that. Like
Not
I
mine.
love having a teenage daughter. I love watching her learn and grow every day. I love
I love talking to her. Oh my God.
I love exploring her mind. I love seeing her. My daughter's into performing. I love seeing her on the stage. I love watching her figure life out and grow and learn and develop into womanhood. And I tell her every day, I'm like, I'm so excited for you, like, to just go out into the world and just do what you're gonna do.
I
Make
just told that girl that today.
like I'm so excited for you to just live your life, girl.
Like she said, she just said to me yesterday or today, she said, I just be doing anything. I say, girl, and I'm going to let you do anything within reason because that's what you're supposed to do. I said, girl, I ain't never been a lifeguard. I ain't never been a competitive gymnast that was 7-time national winner. I ain't never did none of that. Okay, you did that. That's your legacy. Those are the things that you be doing. You the one working at the library. You the one had to figure out. It was funny because her dance was the same day as the last day of her lifeguard thing. And I say, this is a part of growing up. Everything starts to come together, and then you got to figure out time management.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see where you're going to be. And sometimes you're going to wish it's two of you, and sometimes you're not going to make it to everything. And guess what? She ended up working out because she got to the dance. She wasn't even late, and she got out of her training early. And I say, see, it's working out for you because yeah,
Universe aligned for you when you set your intention and
when
you
you
say,
set your intentions.
I'm going to be diligent and I'm going to be a good steward of my talents and I'm going to go out into the world seeking out my desires. I desire to be a lifeguard and I desire to attend this dance. So universe,
It both worked out for her.
universe, make it happen. I need you know that. Now that's powerful right there. And I think the other thing for me that I've learned being a mother of a teenage daughter specifically and having to help her navigate and the delicate balance between like hands off and like more
When to know hands off, when to know hands on.
yeah, when to know hands off, when to know hands on is that I can't allow my feelings to cloud her
Judgment.
or to I can't allow my feelings to shift the environment too much. I have to be emotionally regulated. When you going off the deep end, I have to be calm. When you struggling with something, I have to be the brain of this operation.
That's like her and I. We worked that out in therapy. It was one time she said, my mama a professor, and she like she said I do this thing where I put on my professor voice. She said, oh, when I hear that professor voice, I gotta listen. I say, okay, so this is what I need from you. You tell me when it's a moment that you want to learn, or a moment you just need to vent.
Right,
Because not everything is a teachable moment.
right.
So I worked through that with her. Because what happened is with me, I didn't so much consume wanting to control because my mom didn't really like try to control me, but I did notice that once I got like the teenage age, I guess, that's where that whole thing, and it was 16 because she had me at 16, but that's another story for another day. It was 16 where it was like, oh, I need to take control of my situation. I'm going to school. I'm going to work. I'm doing all the things you want me to do. So what more you want from me? So I see with my daughter, I was always really hands off. I was always really like, well, what you think about that? She'll tell me something. Well, what's your opinion on that? I never want to insert the opinion because I didn't want to get in the murky waters, so to speak. I didn't want to be like turn her off from this. Even when it was like, oh, she's gonna do gymnastics, and my daughter started gymnastics before there was a Simone Biles, before there was Gabby Doug. She didn't have any, like you said, representation. She showed up as the representation. She was doing gymnastics. She was the only little black girl in gymnastics with beads in her hair.
I'm about to go and represent.
She showed up and she represented herself. And I'll never forget, just as she was getting into the bigger part of her gymnastics career, there was some negative talk around it because the people was doing all the assaults and stuff to the gymnastics. Yeah. And it was like, no, because she's comfortable with who she is. She's comfortable enough to trust that if something like that is going on, she's going to tell me. There's a level of comfortability that has to be there in order to have those discussions. But we had already had those discussions.
Right.
And so people was like, you already was talking to your daughter about that? Yeah, 7 years old. Yeah.
She's a little girl. Like, what do you expect?
Y'all don't want to talk. That be the problem. Black girl, say something.
Like, y'all open up your mouth, but you really have to be in a place like, I'll say everything, most of the things I've learned about my mother as a woman, and I think that this is the beauty of women growing, and this is why the patriarchy pisses me off so much, because it robs us of these opportunities of mothers and daughters relationships to mature and to get to know your mother as a woman. When you're a woman, you get to learn who your mother is. A lot of what I've learned about my mother is from other people. She has never been able to tell me her story and teach me her lessons and see things from her point of view. So I think for women, in order to be able to have those conversations, we have to be willing to be vulnerable. As a mother, I had to tell myself, I have to be willing to be vulnerable with you and share with you how I'm feeling and what the things that I'm going through, and telling those embarrassing stories. Like, I told my daughter so many embarrassing stories. Like, when she was with something, I would be like, girl, I remember when I was in 6th grade, and
my daughter loved tea, so but I think too, I just was saying this to myself the other day. It was like, dang, I wish more people. I stopped being friends with people over the craziest thing, because it's like, oh, you'll never tell your daughter that you went through that. And I get like it within reason. Within reason, we have to tell her some things, right? Age appropriate. But my daughter was like, one time she was like, "You had me 4 years after you graduated high school." And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "So you didn't even finish college?" And I was like, "I mean, I finished with you." She was like, "Yeah, it couldn't be me." And I'm like, "I'm hoping it's not you.
Please don't let it be you, boo.
Please don't let it be you, boo."
Please. Matter of fact, let us pray on it right now.
Hello, let us touch and agree.
Let us touch and agree. Okay?
I say your goal is you have your own path. Don't look to my path to figure it out. I'm here to kind of guide you. I'm here to give you the tools. You have an empty toolbox. And every so often I'm giving you a tool. And a therapist kind of had this conversation with us. And it was like, your mom, because it was a conversation where it was empowering the both of us, me as the mom and her as the daughter, to be able to say, you know what? Yes, you want to do these things. Yes, you want to assert yourself and have your power and be who you are. But your mom is still going to be there on the sidelines, help guiding you. You have an empty toolbox, and when the things arise, she's going to give you that tool. And then she got to show you how to use the tool. And then one day you're going to have to take the tool and use it for yourself.
Right.
But that don't mean I'm going to run out of tools to give you. I'm always have some tools to give you. But you're going to have to take the toolbox and you're going to have to go on and do it yourself. And now we'll be like, bing bong, we did it. And I'm going to be right there cheering you on. And I'm going to be right there trying to go with you too.
And I'm going to be right there sitting up in the house you build with them tools.
With them tools, girl.
But as a mother, that's an important point, is that you have to fill your own toolbox first. I can't give you a tool that I don't have. I can't give you something that I don't know. I also can't give you what I don't know that you need. So I think the other thing that I'm enjoying about having a teenager is having that dialogue and being able to, I don't want to say it makes it easier, but when kids is little, like you take them to the doctor, they can't tell you what's hurting. They don't know nothing. You just got to guess.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more like, okay, I'm getting something. I can make sense.
You start seeing the fruits of your labor. Like teenage years is where you start to see the fruits of your labor. I don't know. I like all that. I'm gonna call this episode, when I post it to YouTube, it's gonna be Black Girl Say Something. Let's chat with Coach T. Teenage daughters are great.
I love it.
Teenage daughters are great because the reality is, I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor, the talk, the conversation, the feminine things. Like this girl is knowing and doing things beyond her friends. Even back when she was a gymnast and the girls were starting a cycle and she hadn't started her cycle yet, but I had already did a cycle party for her and another little girl who started her cycle. And it was like, yeah, cause, and they was like, you know that already? She was like, yeah, my mom already taught me. Because I was doing my doctorate, I was doing my master's, and I was already learning that there's a whole thing called period poverty, and the girls, it ain't so much that they can't afford the stuff. There's no education. There's a lack of education around it, so they bleeding through and all this. And so even now, we talking. You know, the friends is doing other things that she ain't experienced yet, but they coming and asking her stuff because why? We didn't have these talks before me starting reading this book. I just saw it in the library and picked it up, but I teach medical terminology. We done sat down and we done had to talk and we done showed and this, that, and the third. That's age appropriate, right? How we gonna get to a space where we're comfortable with these conversations? How do we get to a space where we're comfortable with intimacy when we ain't even having the conversations? Like my mom, my whole doctoral dissertation, my mom was there because it was virtual, and I'm talking about how all health begins with the Black woman, all health begins with the ethnic woman, not just from when we have given birth, right? But that the whole point from when we're born, right? And then it's a cycle. And my mom said, "Look at you talking about saving a world of women having babies, and I never got maternal care with you."
Mm-hmm.
That like blew my mind. I was like, "Girl, what?" And then that's this. After I get off, we start having this conversation and we start having this story. But it's like, look how God is using my daughter, who was a child born of a C-section, to a 16-year-old because the umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck, telling the world, defending her dissertation to say all health begins with the Black woman, and I'm a Black woman sitting here to be able to give this story. I said, girl, you should have been told me that because that would have been tea in my in there. I would have put that in there.
Write that down, quick.
I would have had them with tears in their eyes in that thing. You hear me?
Right. No, that's why it's so. It's why it's so important for us as, especially Black women, to tell our story. And I tell this to my daughter because she's really into media and film and all of those types of things. And we'll talk about, like movies and stuff and the plots. And we went and saw Sinners, so we talked about Sinners. But I'm like, but that's why it's important for you as a Black girl to tell your story. That you are the representation. You are the representation. You going and trying to find people to tell your story. No, you tell your own story.
Tell your own story. And my biggest thing on Black Girl Say Something, the premise of Black Girl Say Something to my daughter is you ain't gotta suffer in silence. It's no prize in suffering in silence. Open that mouth and tell them and say something. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a job. I don't care if it's your friends. I don't care if it's at the school. I don't even care if it's with me. We have a rule in this house. It ain't what happens in this house, stay in this house. Sometimes I'm the problem. Go tell somebody.
Sometimes I'm sometimes.
Sometimes, come on now. We mamas are teenagers. Sometimes we the problem. So go tell somebody. She done told the owner, because we have a relationship with the owner of the school. So she done told the owner of the school on me. She'll tell my sisters. Tell somebody. And she also know that I will protect her, because even when we be having our little things and my mama call me, well, what's going on with her? I said, oh, nothing. Nothing. She all right. She all right. She's gonna tell. She pulled me. My daughter pulled me to the side. She said, why you ain't tell grandma? I said, because it's not for me to tell. Right. That's for you to tell if you want to tell her. But I gotta protect her at all costs.
I have to preserve your dignity, as they say in healthcare. You always want to
preserve the dignity.
You never want to have them internalize that feeling of shame, because that's not healthy. You don't want people walking around full of shame from having their dignity.
Exactly. All right, Coach T, it's been real. And in my closing, I just want to let everybody know, make sure if y'all not following Coach T, follow Coach T. She has some amazing content. When I post it to YouTube, I will also be linking her YouTube. But all her information I know is in her bio because I went and checked. So go ahead and check over there. Make sure y'all tap on her, follow her, okay? Come back here next Thursday. We have another guest. We're going to be talking. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And as Black women, we showing up for ourselves more this now and forever, if I'm being honest with you. Okay? And Black Girl Say Something is a podcast. We air an episode every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And y'all know all the links and all the stuff. Y'all can do what y'all got to do. Coach T, it's been a pleasure, love. I thank you for everything. And you know we'll be in touch.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. I'll see y'all on my page.
All right. Later.
Bye.